Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Sorry this comes to you a lot later than I had hoped to. Um, I had gone grocery shopping and that took a lot more out of me than I had expected. And then by the time I got done making dinner, Rick was home. And then I hate recording when he's home because I have to pause everything. And I don't like to be the center of attention with everyone just sitting in a quiet house while I talk. So I had to wait till he went to bed. But I did want to get you the video. I promised with a couple minutes to spare, hopefully. I can get it on there by today, March 1st, which happens to be the first day of MS Awareness Month. So that's been really kind of fun. They did a post where you could change your Facebook profile picture, and it was super heartwarming to see all the friends and family that changed their profile picture for today for everyone suffering from and experiencing different parts of MS, whether it be for a loved one or themselves. But today I'm going to go ahead and kind of go over as quickly as possible how I was diagnosed. It will be 3 years in May, and it was a super duper fast thing, which is not common for people, so I'm very, very, very lucky. But the way it kind of happened was I was in school for massage therapy because I wanted to give back and do something to help people. So I went to school for massage. And I was more in tune with things going on than I had ever been before, just specifically because I was paying attention. That's what we were learning in school, was how to listen to our bodies. And so I had been noticing a lot of really weird things. I had been falling and stuff, but I didn't really think much of it. I thought I was just being clumsy. And what I found was um, it was getting worse and worse. And eventually, we went on a weekend. We went to a rodeo here in town, and the left side of my face went numb, and it felt like I had a sunburn and it was being stretched really tight, as well as my eye was twitching really bad. And that was not normal for me to experience that tightness of my skin and the eye twitching for such an extended amount of time. It happened all day Saturday and Sunday, and I noticed by the end of the day Sunday it was also in my hand on my left side and my up to my elbow, just numbness and kind of tingling and tightness. So I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. And then Monday came around, I went to school. It was hard to massage because I couldn't feel my left hand. So I made an appointment to go to the Kaiser that we had that was right by the school and see just an on-call doctor since my doctor was not at that location. So I went in and they told me that they thought I had Bell's palsy, and that's why my face was tingling and my eye was twitching, and that I had a pinched nerve in my back that had caused my numbness. At this point, it was my whole left arm and hand. So I thought, okay, well, we'll deal with that. I went to a chiropractor for the pinched nerve that I thought I had. And then by Wednesday, the numbness had spread all the way down to my hip on my left side only. So I happened to get a call from my regular doctor who had seen the notes and wanted to check in because he thought that was kind of a weird diagnosis that I was given. So I talked to him on the phone. I let him know that the numbness was now going down to my hip and almost to my knee. And he said that he wanted me to be seen by his neurologist on that Friday. This was Wednesday. He said, you have an appointment Friday. Make sure you get there however you have to, whatever you have to make happen, get to that appointment. So I did. Rick took the day off, or that got off early, picked me up, took me down to this appointment. Wait to see this neurologist. He ran a bazillion little tests, like touching my nose, checking my pupils. He used like a safety pin and poked all over my back to see what the sensations were. A bazillion tests. After that, he said he wanted me to do an MRI. He did not tell me what he was looking for. He did not tell me what we were going, nothing about it. And that was good because I didn't want to self-diagnose or look things up. So I didn't want to know what he was looking for. I just wanted to do the testing and let things go as they may. So he had scheduled me to have an MRI done, but then I lost all feeling in all of my left side. It was all completely numb. So I called and let him know, and he said that he wanted me to go in on May 6th, which was mine and Rick's anniversary, and get my MRI done. I'm super claustrophobic, so I was not excited about that. But we got in. I think I've mentioned this before, but Rick's amazing boss at the time drove him down to Sacramento where I had to get my testing done. so that he could drive me home afterwards because they had to give me some medicine that was going to make it to where I couldn't drive. So they came in, we did the MRI, I went back to school. The next, let's see, that wasn't a Friday, that was a Wednesday. So Friday was my neurologist appointment. The following, I don't even remember what day of the week it was, we went to the MRI. So then by the following day, I had gotten a call back from the neurologist. Apparently my voicemail was full. I had had my phone on me, even though in class we weren't supposed to. My teacher told me to keep it on and keep it on me so that I could get the call from my neurologist. But for some reason, it went straight to voicemail, and he said my voicemail was full. So when I went to break that day, I got an email that said he had found multiple lesions secondary to, it basically said, your MRI results came back abnormal. We found multiple lesions secondary to swelling. And I know I've touched on a lot of this in my first video, but I kind of wanted to give the full timeline of how this happened, just for anyone who's interested. So from there, I didn't know what that meant because, like I had mentioned, he did not tell me what we were looking for. And my mentor at school was the most amazing person, and unfortunately her mom had dealt with MS, so she knew exactly what that meant, and she was able to kind of explain it to me. I kind of just went, I started crying, but I didn't even really know why. I was just kind of confused. At the end of the message, he let me know that he was going to be working the hospital shift, so there was going to be no way to get a hold of him until he got a minute to call me back, and it could be any time that week. We didn't know how long. It also said that I needed to go do blood test, and there was going to be some people calling me to do some more testing. So I went and got the blood test done the next morning because it had to be a fasting test, and I had not fasted because I did not know yet. So I went back to class that day, and I was crying quietly, and my teacher had taken me to what was essentially like our headmaster or dean, whatever you would want to call her. And we talked and talked, and she just made me feel all better, at peace with everything that was going on. So I finished out school that day. I went home. I talked to my husband. We just kind of talked, and everyone just kind of came to terms with everything, though we didn't really know what anything meant at that point. So we just kind of said, we'll just start doing testing. So the next 5 days was a ton of testing. I did my blood test. I did another test, I believe it was a VER, where they put electrodes all over my head and had me watch a screen and monitored what my eyes did to see if the optic nerves were affected. So we did all that. He was an extremely unhelpful neurologist. He basically wasted so much of our time, and it was a big disappointment when we went back to follow up with him. So I called the member services of my medical and talked to them, and they were amazing. They got me a new neurologist, an appointment with him within a week of me calling. So we went ahead and switched neurologist and went to the new one. He wanted another MRI done, this time with contrast, which we did not have on the first one. It was scheduled almost immediately. He got me in. I went in and did the MRI with contrast, which I was very nervous about because I hate IVs, I hate needles. But it had been more than 30 days since my first MRI, so essentially they were looking for anything new or worsened. Because at that point, since there had been over 30 days in between, anything new or worsened would show as either another episode or another attack, essentially. So we did that MRI. He got back to me about a week later. Took a little longer that time, and he had said that the lesions that were already there from the first MRI had grown, and there was double the amount. So what we needed to do was start a medication. So he essentially told me just start researching. I went in to see my physical therapist who specializes in neurology. She is amazing. She has helped me so much. And she had said, you know, when you go in, they're just going to tell you what do you want to take. They're not going to really tell you what they think you should take. They're going to expect you to figure it out. So me and her talked about it, as well as another person I met through my daughter's school, who I will bring up a lot more in a future video, because that was just such an amazing time frame and shows how everything happens for a reason in your life. But we'll get to her. So what I did was I talked to her, I talked to my physical therapist, and I decided on the injection, which was the only one that I could find that did not suppress your immune system and had the least crazy, scary side effects. So when I had my appointment with him, I went in, I told him, he said, that's a great decision. I signed waivers. They then had a nurse come out to me. They prescribed me the injections. I brought them home, and they scheduled a nurse to come out from the injection company and bring me like a starter pack. It had amazing things. It had a little needle clipper. It had an auto injector, and she taught me and Rick for as long as it took how to do manual injections and how to do injections with the auto injector. She stayed until we were comfortable. I can call her at any point and she'll come out and do a refresher course. They are amazing with their customer service. Luckily, I haven't had to do that, but it was scary. The first months, I would dread every evening knowing that I had to do my shot. I chose evenings because I'm not a morning person, and I didn't want to have to get up at a certain time on the weekends to do my shot. I'd rather do it at night, even though it took a lot of dread out of me all day long in order to get to that point, and I wouldn't relax until after it was done. But luckily, to this point now, I just do them. There's no dread, there's no thinking about it. I just do it before I go to bed. If I go to bed and have forgotten, I've only ever forgotten one time, and I was miserable for weeks. So if I lay down and realize, oh, I didn't do it, I get up and I do it. And I don't enjoy that, but it saves me from a relapse and feeling horrible. So definitely worth it. I wouldn't change that. But after that, so I've been doing the shots since, I believe, September. So September of 2017 will be 3 years on my injections. I've only missed one, and I hope to keep it that way because I was really disappointed when I missed one. And like I said, it made me feel awful. So the other thing they wanted to do was a spinal tap to check if I had lesions on my spine. And because of a lot of my symptoms from beforehand, they really are leaning toward thinking that I do probably have a significant number of lesions, or at least some horribly placed lesions on my spine. I opted not to do that because at this point, if they did the spinal tap, not only would it put my body through that, it wouldn't change a thing. So I just called my neurologist and said, if we do this and it says there's no difference, what are we going to do different? And he said, absolutely nothing. And I said, well, what if we do this and we find that all these lesions? And he said, won't change anything. So I opted to just not know what my spine looks like for now, since there's just enough on my brain to not worry. There's so many active lesions on my brain that it was enough to do the full medication. There's not a problem with diagnosis. It happened quickly because it was so aggressive. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a good thing, but it was, because so many people go years and years and years before they can actually get a diagnosis and start getting relief. So that was that. I decided not to do the spinal tap unless it's something that I have to do down the road, or if it will change the outcome of my treatment, then I will definitely do it. But for now, we're going to just keep it the way it is. Another thing that we have kind of kept an eye on is not medicating all my symptoms, because if I medicated every symptom I had, I would be on so many medications I wouldn't be functioning. So we just keep an eye on the symptoms that are outweighing things, and that's the ones that we decide to treat with my neurologist and my regular doctor, and now my GI specialist and my physical therapist. We're all in communications constantly. So that's been really huge for us, is that I have a huge support team, and I love that. I would love to get a MS specialist because my neurologist is just a general neurologist, and I have found some problems with that, but so far it's not an option, so we're just going to keep going with what we have going and see what comes from that. One thing that I've definitely noticed is I don't seem to get sick as often, which I'm super thankful for, because even though my immune system is attacking me, it seems to be attacking all the bugs that Rick and Cadence bring home. So that's super duper awesome. And another reason that I'm happy to be on the medication that does not suppress your immune system. It has the least amount of crazy side effects, so I appreciate that, especially with all the other things I'm on, because you run such a risk for a reaction, a cross reaction, for mixing the wrong things. So I don't want to have to worry about that. I definitely love the one I'm on. It's amazing what insurance will do. My injections are over $4,000 a month, and that is for the generic. But luckily, with insurance, my copay is anywhere from nothing to $25. It's extremely doable considering my old copay was $480. So it's definitely something that's an expensive thing to treat, but that is what it is, and it's great that they have so many medications out there because that was not the case before. And I'm very, very lucky, like I mentioned, that I had a quick diagnosis, even though a lot of people wait years and years and years. And that's terrible because more and more damage can be done. I mentioned that I have what seemed to be a pretty aggressive strain, which is very true, but we have it medicated now. Unfortunately, the damage that is done is done. I do seem to have relapses. I'm very affected by the heat. When it's cold, I get a lot of pain, but my cognitive stuff is a little bit better. But when it's hot, my pain's not quite as bad, but my mind is fried. If my body temperature raises 1 degree, I get ringing in my ears. I get extremely dizzy. I get sick to my stomach. My fatigue is so much worse. So it's definitely a catch-22, but either way, both sides have their good stuff that happens. I'm very, very fortunate that my husband is okay with my Disney addiction, and we try to go 2 to 3 times a year. It's completely my happy place. I get to just be a kid and ignore all things when I'm there. I have an amazing wheelchair. My family came together and helped me purchase. It has to be an electric because my hands don't work well enough to use a manual. Usually I would just go in circles. So I do have a manual that Rick can push me in for some things, but for big trips like amusement parks, we definitely love my electric wheelchair. It is amazing. So that's definitely a big help, and just getting to go to my happy place and be in my happy world is huge. Other than that, that was basically the full diagnosis process. So I will kind of go into any questions you may have tomorrow, as well as kind of some of my other ailments that have come from the diagnosis. I'm completely able to put my contacts in and take them out without any help now in probably like 30 seconds. So I'm super excited about that. I have a follow-up, I believe, Friday, and then again the next Thursday to go over how my eyes are doing. But so far, it's going amazing. So I will cut this short so that I don't keep you much longer, since this is one of my longer videos. I do apologize, but thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share and subscribe if you would like to. Also, I will definitely leave my email down in the comments if you want to talk about something that you don't want to address on here. No problem. Thank you so much. Have a good night.